Hey guys, this is Jesse. Welcome to 3 to C. Today we're talking about fight scenes. My pick would have to be Apollo Creed versus Rocky Balboa in Rocky 2. Apollo Creed comes flying out of the gate with punches and punches and punches, and Rocky Balboa's head just going back. You see his fro just whoo, whoo, whoo. And Apollo Creed looks like the better fighter out of the two, and he looked like he trained a lot better. So the fight progresses, and it's like it's going one way, then it's going the other way. You don't even know who's going to win. And then this Rocky just gets this burst of energy and starts hitting Apollo, and he's punching him, and he's punching him, and he's punching him. Anyways, and so he's punching him, right? And then he goes for this one huge, like, big knockout punch that he's going for. He gets it, boom! And they both fall to the ground because it was such a massive punch, you know? And so they're both on the ground, you know, they're going at it, they're trying to get up, the ref's counting, 5, 6, and it's just like an epic moment that's just building up to who's going to win this race, basically. It turns into a race, from a fight to a race, and it's just a really good battle. Watch it, it's a really good fight.
And my first pick would have to be 2005's Unleashed. It's got an all-star cast. It's got Jet Li, Morgan Freeman, and Bob Hoskins. So the basic overview of the movie is Jet Li is trained like a fighter dog. And the character that owns him goes by Bart. He treats this guy like a dog. And this dog is doing work. He's going out and just beating everyone that he can. All he does is take off the collar, and he's unleashed. He was kicking like 12 guys' butts the whole time. Wasn't that long of a fight sequence, but long enough for me. You got to enjoy it. You got to see some bone breaking and some hair pulling. Everyone loves hair pulling. I mean, the movie overall was maybe a 5 out of 8. No. But I liked it.
Favorite fight scenes? I think first thing I think of is Chan-wook Park's 2003 Old Boy. That fight scene, you know the one I'm already going to talk about. It's the one where he's in the hallway and he has the hammer and he's walking through there and he's beating those guys up one by one, and it's shot so it looks like it's all just one smooth take, you know. And a lot of people say that it kind of looks like a video game, but I think that's what people who don't play video games say. You know, it's one long like platform where he's just beating up guys, and he gets stabbed in the back with a knife, and he's still fighting, and he's got bottles breaking over his back, but he doesn't notice them because he's just fighting, and he learned all that fighting from watching TV. And you know, Old Boy is the second movie of the 3-part Vengeance trilogy, but I think the other 2 movies are just as good, maybe even better. I think you should definitely check out Old Boy 2003 before it gets remade, so you can kind of see the difference.
My next fight scene would have to be Game of Shadows, Sherlock Holmes, Robert Downey Jr. And I just like how he was just rationalizing what he was going to do. He was just thinking about it, pinpointing it. I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. And it was just like so like compact, and it was just like accurate to the point. And after you see that slow-mo, he actually does it, and it just becomes like this cool, like crazy fight. And you just think like, dang, sometimes we think like that as humans, but then can we really act on it and actually do it? I sometimes think of it like, hey, can I do this? And it's in my brain for like 2 seconds. And that's kind of like the glimpse that they give you with his fight scene. So it's kind of different. It's kind of crazy. I actually like it. It's really cool. Sherlock Holmes, one of my top picks.
And my second pick would have to be 2002's Blade 2. The fight between Blade and Nomak was awesome. It was dope. I felt like that might have been the first time Blade might not have made it. And Nomak was really handling his own. It was just rumbling, tumbling, brawling. It doesn't seem like it was overly choreographed, even though you know it was, but it didn't come off that way. It came off like 2 dudes who just didn't like each other and decided to handle it right then and there. This sequence was actually choreographed by Donnie Yen, who actually played in the movie as the snowman. He was the guy with the sword too. He was doing a lot of good work himself. But this sequence, I loved it so much because it didn't have too much CGI involved. It was just really the main actors going at it. But the camera angles, like the camera always has you looking over here or here, and when you do see it, it's like a whole new new scene, a new world that you brought into, but the same people are fighting. Like, if two guys were fighting and they break through the wall and they're in the kitchen or the bedroom or something like that, that's how I felt. So my number 2 pick would have to be Blade 2, 2002.
It might not be the best fight scene, but it's definitely one of the most iconic when you think about Bruce Lee versus Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. The thing I remember the most about that was when Bruce first goes up to him and Kareem kicks him in the chest. Kareem, going by the name Hakeem, there's this huge, like, 18-inch footprint on the front of Bruce Lee's yellow jacket, or, yellow suit. And, everyone knows about that suit. Even if you haven't seen the movie, you probably have seen the yellow and black thing before, and that's where it comes from. So you should see how Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was this huge dude, and he's actually Bruce Lee actually was his teacher in fighting. So they had him in the movie, and they had him fighting. He's just really tall and lanky, and it's kind of a little bit of an awkward fight, but it's pretty great that you have someone in the spotlight, someone who's kind of famous in this one world and famous in another world, come together and have a pretty good fight scene. That's Game of Death, Bruce Lee, 1978.
And my top fight scene is Agent Smith versus Neo in The Matrix. It just sets up just a crazy battle for the ending. Trinity's about to leave the Matrix. Agent Smith shoots the phone, and Neo's stranded there by himself, which he was told, once you see an agent, you're supposed to run from them. He had nowhere to run, so all he had to do was fight this agent to save his life. And midway through the fight, Agent's tearing him up. He realizes that he's the one, and it just becomes just this crazy battle. I don't even have the words to explain it. There's just slow motion bits. It was just one of its own, one of a kind, and it was just cool, crazy, fight, different from the rest. Definitely my top pick of fight scenes.
And my absolute favorite fight scene for this episode would have to be Gorgeous. That movie was released in 1999, and it's a Jackie Chan flick. The scene that I loved the most was the final battle between Jackie Chan and Bradley James Allen. Wow, it's just amazing. But this fight scene was like 17 minutes, and they were just like battling, but not because they wanted to like kill each other or anything like that. It was more sport. They wanted to know who the best was. And they're like from two different generations. I mean, BGA in this movie is like half of Jackie Chan's age, and he still held his own. And hats off to Jackie Chan, who was really going for someone who was much younger and quicker than him, and he still came out with all these Jackie Chan punches and kicks. But the thing I love most about this episode is he didn't revert back to his run and get an object and try to use that. We've all seen the chairs or the ladders or the broomsticks or anything like that. Not in this fight sequence. In this fight sequence, it's just hands and feet, and they were going at it.
Pretty good.
So the last movie I'm going to talk about is 2005's The Protector. In the mid-2000s, everyone started talking about Tony Jaa and how he's going to be the next big thing. He's going to be the next Jackie Chan, Jet Li, whatever. And he was pretty good. And not that he's gone now, but we kind of got over that. But it was really a nice time to watch his movies, and it was like kind of a new thing. Muay Thai was kind of a style that you haven't seen on film that much, and it's not one that I particularly care to do myself. It seems like it's really close quarter combat. But one of the things I remember about The Protectors is a scene where he's fighting all these guys who are coming up to him, and he's just spinning around and grabbing all their bones and arms and legs, and he just keeps grabbing them and breaking everything. And at the end of the scene, there's a bunch of guys laying on the ground crying and all their bones broken. And, it was just, I could just imagine the sound guys in the back, just grabbing the celery. There's was a lot of bone breaking, or a lot of vegetables died that day. It was very sad, but pretty good fight scene. But you know, of course she gets the last word, so.
Ah!